Hey guys, so we just got back from watching Suicide Squad here with Jesse, and we were pleasantly surprised to say that it's actually good. It's a good movie. Do you agree?
Yes.
Okay, so first we're gonna give a review without any spoilers. Leading into what we're gonna talk about. Currently, we're filming this on Thursday. We just got to see an early showing of the movie at 7 on Thursday. And right now it's sitting at 27% on the tomato meter, which I'm just really shocked because although the movie's not like a perfect movie, it's not a bad movie. 27% seems to me like that's like, oh yeah, you can skip this. Like, this is a really good movie. I don't know. Jesse thinks it's just a critic thing, which I think so too, but I think it's a little bit more than just. I mean, I don't know. I think people are being a little bit too harsh on a movie that's called Suicide Squad. I mean, I don't know what you were expecting. It's not going to be Captain America Civil War. It's a movie about villains that you've not been introduced to. They try their best to introduce all the characters and then put them on a mission. So, getting into the plot of the movie, it's exactly that. It's bad guys from the DC universe that. Another thing about this movie is that it's actually tied into Batman v Superman. Like, it actually follows where Batman v Superman left off. Events of Batman v Superman affect this movie. So there's a character named Amanda Waller that she works for the government and some shady shit. And basically she's saying that because metahumans exist, we need to make sure that we have metahumans working on our side or have a handle on metahumans in order to battle like a Superman gone bad, basically. So she suggests getting DC characters that have not been introduced in the movies yet, but are in the comics, getting those characters and trying to form a team with them. And that's basically the movie. So, with that being said, Will Smith played Deadshot, and I thought he was great. He was awesome. I wouldn't say he's the best character. I think it's a battle between him, Harley Quinn, and basically him and Harley Quinn because Joker's barely in the movie. Talking about each character, what were your thoughts on Deadshot?
Good.
That's it?
It was good. He wasn't overly serious. He wasn't overly funny. He was just like.
Yeah, it's definitely, you can tell it's a Will Smith type character.
Yeah.
That it's like, okay, he has his serious moments, and then he has his moments of where he's being, Will Smith joking around, but it didn't like distract from the movie, and that's something that I liked, is that there was actually a lot of humor in the movie. But overall, his character, the way they set up how he ended up being in custody, just this whole underlying thing with his character was really good, and you actually got to see how he changed into who he becomes at the end of the movie as you're watching it. Harley Quinn was probably the standout of the movie. Like, Margot Robbie killed it as Harley Quinn. She was funny, she was crazy, she was wacky. It gives you a glimpse of how she ended up there. A lot of characters got like a little bit of a background flashback. What do you think about Harley Quinn?
She's awesome. She's my favorite.
Yeah, Harley Quinn. There's definitely next one I want to talk about is the Joker, which he's not in the movie that much.
No.
He's really not in the movie that much. So don't go into this movie thinking you're going to see a Joker movie. You get an introduction to who the Joker is, but it's not a Joker movie at all. The scenes that he's in are awesome. Like, they're very, very memorable. I can remember every single Joker scene. It's not as... He doesn't have moments like he did in, like, The Dark Knight, where there's a long 10 minutes of dialogue or anything like that, but you get little bursts of him, but not a lot. But Jared Leto did a very good portrayal of the Joker. And then there's a bunch of other characters, and we'll go more into the other characters in our spoiler review. So some of the positives I like about the movie is action. There was a lot of action in this movie. It was totally not Batman v Superman. It didn't pace slowly. There was action in the beginning when you're getting the introduction to the characters. There's action in the middle when you're getting introduced to what the conflict is, and then there's action throughout the movie. So I was reading a lot of the reviews that people have been giving it on Rotten Tomatoes, critics, and for them to say this movie's boring, I don't know what they're talking about. Like, I really don't see... At one point, I looked at Jessie and I'm like, where is the boring part? Like, there hasn't been a boring part. There's definitely a part where the movie stops for a second, but then when it stops, it gives you development on a character, which is Diablo, which is another character in the team who he has fire powers, and you don't really understand why he's a bad guy and why he's acting the way he is, and then there's a slow part and they actually explain what it is, and I thought it was amazing how they did it. The only negatives I have about the movie is because they try to cram in so much some characters didn't get enough like story. Like Katana didn't get enough story.
Yeah.
It was kind of.
But that's part of the thing, that she's like a kind of mysterious character.
Yeah, I like that there was some mystery to her. You know, I know who Katana is in the comics, but as far as like moviegoers are concerned, if they just come into this movie, they're like, oh, okay, chick with swords, and they, you know, a lot of what you know about her is actually verbally said by another character.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh yeah, by the way, like it was a little odd. Killer Croc, he's not a deep character, but the way Killer Croc was at the end of the movie, like I wish there would, like, the way he was by the end of the movie was how he was the whole movie. Like Killer Croc definitely changes throughout the movie. Another character that was really cool was Enchantress, and we get enough to understand about her, but it doesn't go that deep into it. Like we don't get too much. So there's definitely a lot of characters that you don't really get too much about. You learn a lot about Deadshot and Harley Quinn the most.
Yeah.
You learn the most about them, and I would say Enchantress and Diablo are like in second place, and everybody else is just kind of like, oh, here's what they do, and then you move on. The other negative, which is not really too much of a negative, but it has the same problems that like Avengers runs into, which is, what do you do when you get a team of people who all have abilities? Well, you get them to mow down a bunch of henchmen that all kind of look the same.
Yeah, they didn't like. That's one thing, that they didn't work too much on like how the villains look, like the actual, like, not villains, but like whatever.
Yeah, the henchmen. The henchmen are, you know, I don't want to spoil it. We'll get into it in the spoilers, but the henchmen, it's pretty much what happens in both the first Avengers and the second Avengers movie, which is there's henchmen that all look the same, and they look the same throughout the entire movie. They really don't have any features that make you think this one henchman's different than the other henchman. And along with that comes the problem with the villain, which is you get a very small snippet of information of who this villain is. This villain had very small, like I would say in Age of Ultron, Ultron had a little bit more time to grow to be the threat he was by the end of the movie. In this movie, the character was just like, you already knew they were evil, because they tell you in the beginning of the movie, oh yeah, this person's evil, and then they just suddenly had the ability to do what they were doing, and then the ending came. So that was the only negatives with the movie, is just kind of a little bit of the pacing with how they handled certain characters, the backstory they gave certain characters, and it just has the same problem Avengers has, which is, okay, a lot of henchmen that all look the same, and a villain that you're not too invested in, because they're trying to make you care so much about the team that they can't invest enough time into the villain. However, the villain was cool.
Yeah.
The power of this villain was pretty awesome, and I mean, I don't know if it's a spoiler to say who the villain is. It kind of is, because I didn't see anything like that in the trailers.
Yeah, no.
So we'll just leave it for the spoiler review. But that's about all we could say without getting into spoiler territory. But while I was watching the movie, I was already feeling that I wasn't going to agree with what the critics were saying, and by the end of the movie, I have to say that I don't think the critics got it right in this one. Is it like a film? No, it's not a film, but I don't see why this movie's getting 27% on Rotten Tomatoes. So like anything below 50, I would think is like shit.
Yeah.
And this movie is not shit. It's a movie that I would actually, if someone wanted to, like, this weekend or a week from now or 2 weeks from now, say, hey, you want to watch Suicide Squad again? I would go and see it in a heartbeat, because it actually was fun. It had me laughing. It had me care about a lot of the three main characters. I didn't think I was going to give a shit about Deadshot. Like Will Smith, I was like, oh, okay, whatever. The guy shoots really good. But there was a lot of really great moments with him. And I just think that this is the one movie where I have to say, don't listen to the tomato meter score, because I was thinking I think I had very low expectations going in because of how bad the reviews were, and I'm completely shocked by how good the movie was. This movie's better than Batman v Superman for sure. I would recommend watching it, Jessie.
Yes, I would recommend.
All right, and that's pretty much all we're gonna get into without spoilers.